The Sound of Christmas gives you everything you could want in a Christmas movie, or a holiday movie, whichever way you prefer. It has singing, for those who are of the Christian faith, it got you on that, and also it has all kinds of drama. At this point, Rio and Montana have been together for 3 years, and for him, he just wants to have sex, drink, go out, and pretty much do everything that doesn't align with her renewed Christian values. So, she steps out on faith and leaves him, which makes her homeless. She brings her testimony to church, specifically during choir practice, and this leads to a wealthy member of the choir named Miss Estelle offering Montana a job as a nanny to help raise her grandchildren, Daniel and Deidre. Their father, Quentin, is a widow, and he doesn't have much time for his kids since, he still seems a bit traumatized by his wife's death. So they need somebody more than Miss Estelle in order to help raise them. But while Miss Estelle is lovely, Montana's willing and able to get used to the kids and Quentin, especially because Miss Estelle, as part of the job, not only gives her a good salary but also a place to stay. One issue is Quentin's girlfriend, Chloe. She feels threatened by Montana's presence and how quickly she's integrated into the family. Well, she has been waiting for years to get Quentin to propose, so what begins as just a little bit of contention and friction becomes quite nasty in time. And then when you factor in that Rio refuses to just give up on Montana and tries to get her back, all the kind of drama you're used to and more is swoops right in. So the first highlight for us is just the kids, which is Daniel and Deidre. They're not liabilities to this film or obligations to show that their father Quentin had sex at one time and, to have that missing parent effect. They actually are assets to this film. They're assets in the terms of being funny, especially how Daniel treats Chloe touching him, or else some of the things that Deirdre says, which are quite rude. But on the opposite end, when it comes to the drama, you see the struggle which comes from their dad, you can see the struggle coming from their dad being a provider, but not being a present father figure. And sometimes it's done outright by Deirdre struggling with a potential period issue and, not having no one to go to about it. So her lacking a mother figure or even a father who she could be potentially comfortable enough to go to, that not being there is an issue. But you can also see this sometimes with Daniel as well in terms of him, I won't say longing for some type of parental figure, but not having one. But at the very least, you see that as he warms up to Montana, it's not just because she's there and he wants to lower her wall so they could easily get her over prank or anything. It's because he truly appreciates somebody being there, potentially being consistent and having access to that. So the second highlight for us is just how this movie figures a way to mix in Christianity, gospel music, and also drama. Never mind the Christmas theme overall. And I don't know, it's hard to explain in some ways. Like, I guess to begin, one of the things we like about this film is that when it comes to Montana being cast with Soraya, the singer who most people probably know from Empire, I like the fact that she's pushed to be Christian without it becoming like her entire personality. And at the same time, when it comes to singing gospel music, she's not giving you Jennifer Hudson or another strong belter in that type of realm. Instead, she kind of has that relatable type of singing voice, and maybe the average person can't sing like her, but the best person at your church can probably sing like her. And with that, you don't get this showy over the top person, but someone who feels familiar in a way. And that allows you to quickly get into what she's going through. And speaking of what she's going through, when it comes to the drama, the warm-up is the kids being disrespectful to Montana and Rio. But then you add in Rio being a creep, then Chloe, and then Quinn initially pushing back when it comes to Montana. It gives you what you need in order to keep around with this movie. And when you factor in specifically Chloe and how she feels about Montana getting too close for comfort when it comes to Quentin, it keeps you fully engaged throughout. So as the kids and Quentin kind of change their tune, then you get Rio acting up, and then you get Chloe acting up, and then it just makes sure that there's always something going on so that you not only get a sense of, this being about how Christians are supposed to act or even how some are hypocritical, but also it gives you the type of heartfelt drama in terms of these kids dealing with losing a parent, Quentin dealing with losing his wife, Montana, trying to find stability in her life after she made a major decision to leave her partner for years. And it's a lot in a way to explain, but when you watch it, it's given to you in a decent portions throughout the whole movie that it keeps you thoroughly entertained and thinking that this might be perhaps one of the best modern day Christmas movies, at least in my opinion. And just to follow up on that last highlight, I feel like when it comes to how religion is depicted, it isn't, again, it's some Fathom Events type of religious holiday movie. It's nothing about how The Sound of Christmas presents Christianity as overbearing or over the top. Instead, you see people's faith getting challenged or see that it has been challenged, and for some, like Quentin, this led to them becoming distant from the church. And while you get these judgy Christians, you also get those like Miss Estelle who remind you that church isn't just about finding God, but it's also about finding community. Now, yes, some community members are gossips and will talk about you like a dog, but as I'm sure they do about Chloe, that doesn't mean that they don't still care about you in a way. And that's probably why, even though maybe everyone doesn't like Chloe, they still question Quentin in terms of, so what are you going to do with this girl? Are you going to keep, just taking milk from the cow for free? Or are you going to put a ring on it and stuff like that? So, for those who don't mind a little bit of realistic depiction of what it can be to be in a church. It's not just all fuzzy singing the gospel, pastor preaching, having a good time type of thing. You'll enjoy what's depicted here. So the last highlight for us is Chloe, and it's just in the form of, while clearly she is the villain, at the same time you get it in a way. From the way things are shown, as much as people depict Chloe as a gold digger, it's established early on she has her own money. And on top of that, it's also established that when it comes to Quentin, he's probably with her as a distraction, if not as somebody to, have for a companionship and, of course, sex amongst other things. So, with that in mind, and her being very clear that she doesn't need to be with him at these exotic locations, she's perfectly fine just waking up in his own bed in his own house, it gets you to understand that the outside perception of that people have of her are not technically true. But as she starts coming from Montana and she comes at her hard, you could also see, as much as you can paint her as a villain for doing what she does, like exposing Montana about something, at the same time, if you've been in a relationship with a man this long, you're at the point of wishing that he would put a ring on and everything, and then this girl who, not to be cruel, but considering how old the actress who plays Soraya compared to how old the actress is who played Chloe, you can potentially get that feeling that, oh, you're going for a new model now after all the time I put in with you. Her flipping out is kind of understandable. I mean, the way that she does certain things in the films, like, yeah, you kind of got what was coming to you, but you can understand why she went crazy the way she did, because Quentin playing with her emotions like that, making her feel insecure, that's gonna make people do crazy things. Overall, in many ways, The Sound of Christmas delivers what is expected with having a widow, a kind grandma, and someone coming into a slightly broken home that lights the place up. But with the never losing sight that it's a Christmas movie, and Christmas isn't just about presents, but also about faith and community, The Sound of Christmas is shoulders above its peers by not just focusing on easy to resolve drama and comical moments, but giving you something that could actually stay with you and potentially give you reasons to watch on an annual basis.